All grown up, what do you know? Jedi, hey, Annie.
Well, I totally lost my point there.
Sorry.
Welcome to Galactic Initiative. I'm your host, Jeff. Joining me to discuss The Bad Batch, Grand Admiral Sean. Welcome, Sean.
Hello, my friend.
The Bad Batch is over and done. Third season finale in the books. And I thought about a series review. I teased it in a prior video. I don't think that the series warrants a full review, so I thought we'd do something a little different. Sean, I leave it to you. I'll be asking for your reactions. So from Joe Burns, 8054, filler is defined as not progressing the story. So filler in The Bad Batch? ? Bruh, BS. So no filler. Each episode progresses the story and or builds true character development.
Okay, so anybody who makes an argument for anything and uses bruh in it, you've already lost me. We talk about the filler, right? This entire series was filler. I think the only character that really developed in the whole series was Asajj Ventress, and that occurred mostly off screen. Maybe some of the batch, Crosshair, maybe, from being a good soldier, air quotes, to not being a good soldier. I don't know. Anyway, to being an independent thinker. What story did we actually get? We talked about doing an overall review of this series. Let's, talk about what's gone on these 3 seasons of the TV show. We just kind of realized that there's really the only things that happened in this entire TV show is we found out there are girl clones, that Asajj Ventress isn't dead, and we still don't know how Palpatine returned, and Kamino got destroyed. And that's pretty much it, right? And one of the girl clones got a dog, right? Other than that, there's no real progression. And you covered a lot of the real contradictions and unanswered questions. So even the things that the show introduced story-wise, the questions about the cloning facilities and what was going on there and why these projects are being canceled and reopened and all the stuff going on, the internal workings of the Empire, all that kind of stuff that never got addressed. What happens to the clones who get away? We got like typical JJ mystery box kind of scenario where we get a bunch of things thrown at us that leave us questioning and we never get any answers. And we really don't get any progression from any of these characters. Omega gets taken off of Kamino. And yeah, there's some things in the first season where she's like experiencing dirt for the first time or whatever, and that was kind of a cute thing. But really, she's just been girl boss the whole time, right? She's always done well. She is always leading the group and always giving them the right answer. And even though they try and treat her like a kid, she's older than them, and she's always reminding them of that. And whatever, right? So she didn't really change. Her hair got longer. But only in the last episode because she's supposed to be like 10 years older or something. I don't know. We didn't address anything about the actual rebellion. We didn't address anything about the formation and development of the Empire. All that stuff was happening off screen. So we got how many hours? 3 seasons with 16 total episodes. What did we get out of that? Nothing. It was like watching the Resistance cartoon. It was very similar. We got nothing. So if you can give me 6 to 8 hours worth of television, and I walk away from that without any expansion of the Star Wars universe, or any meaningful activity inside of that universe, then yeah, the whole thing is filler, bruh. I get that people defend this stuff, and I get people love the cartoons, and I will say on par when it comes to total hours of television, the cartoons have been mostly better than the live action stuff. But one of the things that we try and do here on this channel is we praise what's good and we call out what's not, and the Bad Batch has had more not than good.
Next comment from just me, Josh V. You're hating because it doesn't fit your ideal Star Wars. Everyone else loves the show. Instead of focusing on Jedi, it focuses on the turn of the Republic to an Empire, while giving us a setup for the Clone Rebellion. Saying that the season is bad because of how slow the plot is moving is a bad call. A video like this would only work once the season ends. Well, Josh, the season is over. Let's hear from Sean.
Still waiting on that Clone Rebellion there, Josh. Oh, too soon? Okay. So, again, what development of the Empire did we see that hasn't already been addressed in other shows? Right. So, Rebels talked a lot about the economic situation in the Empire, about funding various projects and the competitions between various Moffs and Admirals. So, how did it expand that? We didn't even really see how the transition between clones and stormtroopers went. There was some sort of, I guess, hint that the clones were not necessarily being phased out, they were being run into the ground. There was a conversation that biologically, naturally produced people would be better than clones, but it was a very quick thing. It wasn't really like a long conversation. And then we didn't really get anything else. Some clones escaped that were in prison. There was a doctor who was creating clone super commando programmable faceless robot Weapon X guys, but all those are gone. So how did the rise of the Empire get expanded, or how did that lore get commented on or shown? Palpatine shows up once, makes a statement about how important the cloning operation is. We see Tarkin a couple of times, and these interactions that we have with them don't really show us anything. Our boy here is upset about ideal Star Wars. I think that he means good Star Wars, right? Because that's what we're on about all the time. We were talking about this off mic earlier. When Andor was announced, Andor was the show that nobody wanted, right? Like everybody, all the people we talked to were like, why? Like, whose idea was this? Like, this is not the Star Wars we want, right? And then everybody, when they announced Kenobi, people were cautiously optimistic, but they're like, yeah, we want more Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan Kenobi, absolutely, right? And it turns out that the one that we didn't want was the one we loved the most, right? And the one that we wanted was the one that really disappointed us the most. So there's a difference between ideal Star Wars, right? I want more Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? And then actually good Star Wars, which is Andor, okay? I loved Andor. So this critique that we don't like Star Wars that's not Jedi focused is just it's not valid, okay? Andor did more to talk about the rebellion, the formation of the rebellion, how the Empire was tightening, right, and usurping authority from local and regional governments, right? Like how they took over the security forces for the company, how they're starting to occupy planets, right? Planets that they may have left alone earlier, they're starting to occupy them, and they're really clamping down. How Mon Mothma was talking about how she used to be able to move more freely and move her money freely, and now the banking clans or whomever is working with the Empire is starting to tighten up financials, right? So the Imperial IRS is now checking her PayPal, right? Like all that kind of stuff. And so we got way more Imperial development and rebellion development with Luthen Rael and others in that show than we got in any of this Bad Batch stuff, or even in the Tales of the Empire or whatever, any of this most recent animated Star Wars. So I think that this criticism, they should probably go watch Andor again and then go watch Bad Batch again and tell me which one did a better job of setting up the Empire. And it's, according to this individual's critique, it's more of an apples to apples comparison because it's non-Jedi focused television. So you go compare those two shows and you tell me which one did a better job at Star Warsing. We don't hate these shows. There's plenty of things in these shows that we like, but on the larger scale, these topics that we've been talking about, themes and character development and storytelling and world building, these are important because when you do those things correctly, then you create the thing that Star Wars was, a timeless franchise. The reason why you're having a 50th anniversary of Lucasfilm is because the original storytelling was executed well. The special effects, we were just talking about this. Just went and saw episode 1 again in the theater for the 25th anniversary. Even though special effects and things over time age, the reason why it stands up 25 years later and that it became the first or second grossing film that weekend in the United States is because the story was good. Now, and yes, there's things, right? It's not 100% perfect, right? I understand that, Lucas made some errors and there's some things in there that you have to address, but these movies stand up and people go back to them, and it's created this franchise. It's created this whole, cultural phenomena around the world where people like us, hop on microphones and talk about it. And it's because we love it and we want to continue to love it. And when we see these things come out, there's bits and pieces, there's flashes of brilliance. There's things that happen in these movies that we're like, those are cool. Or these TV shows or cartoons, like, that was awesome. But there's a lot of sort of cringe and there's a lot of eye rolling and there's a lot of, oh, like this again kind of stuff. Or why didn't we get a better resolution to this particular character story arc or to this story itself? The whole thing that we were afraid of at the beginning of the Bad Batch was this was going to be the show that shows us how we got to cloning Palpatine and somehow Palpatine returned, right? That was our big fear. Like, oh, it's just going to validate the sequel trilogy because we'd seen stuff in Mando about this and, Dr. Pershing and all this other stuff. It's like we still are no closer to explaining how Palpatine returned. Turned out it was a nothing affirming show. And if you like crap, great. Enjoy the crap. But some of us don't like crap and we want better. And so we're asking for better. And that's not hate. That's just having a higher expectation of quality.
Next comment, this from Dark Flame 9410. There are in-universe explanations for Ventress's resurrection already established in prior canon media. Namely that powerful Night Sisters tend to have trouble staying dead. The book, referencing Dark Disciple, even ends with Ventress being placed in one of those same green pools on Dathomir we see used by other Night Sisters to restore and bring others back. It's been established that the planet and people of Dathomir have a unique connection with the Force that allows them to defy death in one form or another, whether spirits, zombies, full resurrection. Ventress even hints at this with her comment of, "I've got a few more lives left." That's not mental gymnastics. It's just using pre-established in-universe lore to understand why something like Ventress dying and then later being still alive can both be true.
This is mental gymnastics, and Disney does not believe that the books and comics are actual canon, even the stuff that they are producing. I don't see the stewards of Star Wars accepting anything in a novel as canon, right? So by their actions, you shall know them, and they don't care about the comics or the novels. There's that. The whole thing about the Night Sisters were gone, right? They were butchered, as we saw in the Tales of the Empire. If you're putting her in the bucket of the green stuff, to revive her, the key element for the revival of people who get thrown into the buckets is there has to be Night Sisters around to recite the incantations and to perform the rituals in order to do that. But her coming back to, like, that was one of the things that I didn't feel like was a real canon breaker. But we find, though, that a lot of these comments that come in from people who are upset with us tend to be expanded universe fans. I'm catching a trend here. There's a lot of people, they come at us with the books and they come at us with the comics, but it's like, just don't let that impact your experience of the show. Like, don't let that, experience the show for what it is, experience the movies for what they are. And Disney promised us a unified canon, and they've never given it to us, so they're liars, right? And I would think that might unify a lot of our fans and other people who might not be listeners and fans. Please like and subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. But then we might all come together on this and be like, you know what? You have your thing. Like, you love the Christmas special, and you're a Christmas special enthusiast, and that's great. And this person over here might be a 70s Marvel comics enthusiast, and they're still waiting for Jackson the Rabbit to show up on a TV show. Okay? And that's fine. You pick it. But the thing is, we all love Star Wars or some aspect of Star Wars, and there's overlap. It's the Venn diagram, right? There's parts that we all like together, and there's parts we like separately, but we all generally like Star Wars. But what we all need to come together and realize is the current leadership at Lucasfilm and their betters at Disney are not treating this with respect, and they're not really putting in a max effort to provide the fans what they really want, which is good Star Wars. The thing that really makes us the most upset is not the TV that we're getting or the movies that we're getting. It's the people who are producing that stuff. But it keeps the channel alive. Yeah.
We're rage baiters here, folks.
That's right. That's a common criticism of us, is that all we're here to do is clicks. We're actually Star Trek fans, and this is all just a ruse. Live long and prosper, bitches.
All right, so we'll take this in parts because it was typed in parts. This is from Aaron Eclipse 514 responding to questions about the Bad Batch finale. First section. I am not a Filoni fanboy, but I thought it would be obvious to everyone. The Clone Rebellion story will be explored in future Star Wars stories since the Bad Batch show. I think since should read after the Bad Batch show. So it's obvious to Aaron that the Clone Rebellion story will be explored in the future.
It's not obvious.
Is it obvious? Is it obvious to you, Sean?
No. What's obvious
Okay.
to me is that we're going to get a show about Omega and probably Asajj Ventress, and it's going to be Thelma and Louise for Star Wars. That's what's obvious to me from the end of this season. The clones that were supposed to help them get out of the prison, most of them were killed. The Bad Batch guys, because they're the differently abled clones, they get to live quietly on a planet somewhere by themselves and become fishermen. But no, the Clone Rebellion is not obvious to everybody.
All right, so Aaron has, there's one more section to Aaron's comment. He types, the Bad Batch chose to retire because they've sacrificed enough. I think they'd, past tense, Aaron. They'd sacrificed enough. It's not their responsibility. It wasn't their responsibility. I'm correcting Aaron's grammar. All right, let me read it as he typed it. The Bad Batch chose to retire because they've sacrificed enough. It's not their responsibility to fight the Empire unless it's for their own safety. They're a family. They want peace and to make a new, safer life for each other.
I believe Jyn Erso had a saying for that. It was, you don't notice the tyranny, you don't notice the Imperial flags if you don't look up. I don't see the clones acting that way. Talking about sacrificing. Yes, they've sacrificed a lot. Yes, they are soldiers. Yes, they are weary of war. Yes, they are a family. However, there are other clones out there who continued to fight, like Rex, who believe that what they had fought for, the Republic, being subverted into the Empire, was not a good thing, and that they felt a modicum of responsibility to reverse the course of that because they were partially responsible for bringing it about. So what you're telling me is that the Bad Batch are a bunch of quitters. And maybe that's why they're defective.
Oh, Aaron, you simple son of a bitch, you.
But you know what? We appreciate your interaction with the channel, and we welcome your comments on future videos.
We do, always.
Absolutely.
Always. Please continue to comment, Aaron.
That's right. His level of ontological certitude about this is impressive, but I think he might have been watching a different show.
All right, well, we'll end our discussion of comments posted to our Bad Batch videos. As always, thank you, Sean.
Mind tricks don't work on me, only money.
Please like and subscribe. Check out Galactic Initiative for all things Star Wars.
Galactic Initiative is not authorized or endorsed by Lucasfilm Limited. The name Star Wars and all related materials are registered trademarks of Lucasfilm Limited, a subsidiary of the Walt Disney Company, all rights reserved. Galactic Initiative is a registered trademark, and other product and company names are trademarks of their respective holders. Use does not imply affiliation or endorsement.